What would you say to someone who feels called to the priesthood but is afraid?
It's okay to be afraid. We are afraid because we are not sure. We are afraid because we are unable to control the outcome.
One thing you cannot live without besides Jesus. How do you deal with loneliness or burnout? In today's world, especially with the youth, what do you think they are really searching for?
I believe that they are looking for a concrete faith, not something very superficial. They are asking deeper questions and they are asking sensible questions.
What makes this Uttan Parish unique from all the other parishes that you've seen?
The people over here do not hide the fact that they are Christians, and they show it through their popular devotion. They show it through their processions and their incensing and the touching of the statues, kissing them, venerating them. I believe that is something which I have never seen at this scale in any other parish.
Why should someone who has never come to this parish visit it at least once?
I would say it would be.
What has Uttan taught you personally as a priest?
I think availability.
Is there any particular person or an encounter that has, very deeply touched you or changed you as a person you are today? Friends, we are blessed to have with us a very special guest, Father Noel Dsouza. He's from the Archdiocese of Bombay and currently serving at one of the largest parishes in Bombay, Our Lady of the Sea Church at Uttan. Father Noel and I have been good friends since seminary years, and since then we've journeyed together to the priesthood. It's been a wonderful adventure, and I must say that we have got a good amount of experience since the last year to the priesthood, and I think we really enjoy being a priest. So from the time you've been a priest, Father Noel, from the time you journeyed along, could you probably, describe this entire experience in one word?
I would say it's fascinating. And fascinating because it's a journey full of surprises. And I could not believe that I have never thought in my life that I would do so many things that I've been doing right now.
I think it's the same with me also, because what I had in mind about the priesthood and what it is right now, it's quite different. Perhaps maybe, could you share any experiences, wherein you yourself were surprised? Because sometimes, at least I know that what I felt like seminary life would be like, is kind of slightly different. There's a new taste to it. Even in the priesthood, I never thought that there would be something. So some things took me by surprise. Was there anything like that in your regards?
No, for me, the whole vocation was a surprise itself, because generally I believe myself to be a introverted person. I didn't want to be in the limelight or in the forefront of things. And when I felt that God called me to this ministry, this way of life, I was really not sure why would God want me, because because if you have to be a priest, you have to be a person who is there in the forefront. You have to interact with people, socialize, and something which I actually never imagined. What I thought of priesthood, in a sense, I felt that the priest was generally helping people in terms of their spiritual life. But through the seminary formation, we realized I met various kinds of priests, as you know. Some priests are in social sectors, some priests are in creative sectors like music, art. And I felt that the Lord calls each one of us in a situation wherein He uses us for whatever we are and for His greater glory. So I think what we believe as priest as only, sacramental priesthood, I think it is much more than that.
Yeah. And I think that rings a bell, because when you spoke about being introverted, I am pretty sure everybody who's watching this video, who knows me from the time I'm small, they would say the same about me, that I wouldn't talk much. Of course, I would make a lot of mischief and masti and all, but to go out and socialize, it wouldn't happen. Even the other day, my mom told me that when you used to go to your neighbor's house, when we would take you to some friend's house, you'd be just sitting there quiet, not doing anything. So to see that, okay, right now I'm making a video and all, that's quite surprising. I never imagined that I would be doing this. Yeah. Could you share your vocation story with us?
Okay, so how to begin? My vocation story it was kind of a stunt for me, in a sense that I was challenged by someone. So my brother had joined priesthood, and he has joined the Society of Jesus. He is already a priest. And when it was announced in the parish that he's becoming a Jesuit, one of the parishioners after the mass came and told me, "Now you have to get married." And I asked him why. No, it's like when one son goes to be a priest, the other son has to be there to take care of the family and be married. And I said, "Who has told this thing?" No, he said it's a rule. I said, "What rule?" But no, it is a rule. It is supposed to be like this. And then I thought I don't want to live my life based on an unwritten rule, and therefore I said I spoke to my brother and I said, okay, maybe we can. Do you have any spiritual direction who can really help me out as to find out what my vocation really is? Deep down inside, I wanted to get married. I knew I wanted to get married, but I wanted to see what God really wanted me to do. And then he connected me to Father Philip Terrasa. He is a Jesuit, a Spanish Jesuit who passed away a few years ago. I spent with him 2.5 years of discernment, and then I realized this is where God is giving me a direction. This is where God is really calling me to join the priesthood. So what I ended up starting out, what I did as a stunt, ended up being what do you say, a new way of how can I say? It's like it was a surprise. I didn't expect I was going to get a call, but I got this desire.
That's wonderful to hear.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
But it's really good. And, touching upon this thing about, okay, if one has become a priest, the other has to take care of the family. Okay, makes sense. But then if God calls both of them to the priesthood, it's all about that, how our reception of that, what God is calling us to be, and what we really have to be, and what really God requires of us.
Yeah.
So that's really wonderful to hear that you've gone beyond the rules, unwritten rules. In your vocation journey, did you have any moment wherein you doubted your vocation, or any crisis moment, times of dry time?
Many times I've doubted my vocation, especially as I said, I'm an introverted person, and I realized that I was struggling to do the work of ministry because I had to learn a lot of things in terms of pushing myself, getting out of my comfort zone, and it was also a personal challenge because I knew I could not support my family, and so there were a lot of emotional challenges, and sometimes used to be very angry with God. Why did you call me? Already my brother was there. He did not find anyone else apart from me. There are so many men in the world. There are so many people who are better than me technically. So, but I questioned my vocation quite a few times, and but whenever I questioned, I did not receive any answer. So, but I held on and I moved on, thanks to my friends, especially my friends in the seminary, where I could really talk about my life and share my life with them.
What was the hardest yes you had to give to God?
This is before joining the seminary. I was doing my discernment retreat, and I was struggling with many whether I should join or not join, and it was not a very good time for me because it was painful, and I was at Vinala, and I was doing this. And I was praying in front of the Holy Cross Chapel. There was Holy Cross Chapel. I was praying in front of the crucifix, and I was asking the Lord, I'm really not sure. I wanted to go and not go, but finally, uh, I was just looking at the crucifix, and for me, the biggest issue was giving up my family. I mean, not giving up in the sense that I have to leave everything, my job and everything. I was not sure whether the biggest question was whether I was abandoning my family or who will take care of my family when I go. But when I was looking at the cross, I just realized that sometimes Jesus himself did not have had to make a choice. The choice to follow the vocation which his father gave him, God the Father gave him. And that choice kind of, in a way, led him to, follow a path which he may not be able to take care of his own mother. And therefore, at the cross, he tells John, "Son, behold your mother." In a way, he himself was unable to take care of his family because of the vocation he followed. And I think that kind of gave me a solace and an understanding that the Lord is understanding. Jesus knows what I am going through, and if He has gone through what I am going through, then I believe that He will find a way to take care of my family, even though I say yes to this vocation.
I just want to pause and take a moment to thank Mr. Chris D'Souza for making this video possible. All the technical work, the setup, the audio recording, the editing is made possible because of his generous help. If you found this video meaningful, then do support him in whatever way you can. Looking back, what part of formation formed you, even more deeply? Was it the human formation, spiritual formation, or what kind of formation made you into what you are today?
I think each formation played a big role in forming me. For example, the pastoral formation when we went for ministry gave me allowed me to be exposed to various forms of ministry, and to be more creative in whatever I was doing. Spiritual formation, obviously, you are introduced to various forms of prayers of the church, something which you would not study as a layperson. Then academic formation, obviously, especially when we were exposed to philosophy, to different way of thinking, I realized it really opened the mind to various perspectives and how various people have a relationship with God and their perspective towards God and all that. Human formation, I believe, was very important for me in terms of both what the seminary gave me and also the support system I had in terms of my friends in the seminary and outside the seminary. People who would tell me where I was going wrong, people who would tell me, you know, how I can be a better person, and also to support me in my most difficult moments, and someone to hear me when I was going through a lot of difficulties. So I would pinpoint as to which formation was helped me the most. I would say each one had a different role to play in forming me altogether.
So holistically, everything
Helped exactly. Yeah.
Now that you are a priest and you know that I'm a priest, we are called alter Christus, another Christ. And it's also said that we are in the person of Christ, at least when we are administering the sacraments. So when did you feel that deep reality of in persona Christi?
It was after our ordination, the Thanksgiving Mass, when uh, when I said the words, "This is my body, which will be given up to you." Of course, the theology of the church will say that we say it in persona Christi, that it is Christ Himself saying. By that point of time, I also felt that I am also giving my own body, my whole self, to the ministry of the church. So, just as Christ has broken Himself for us on the cross, I am also called to break myself for the church. So I think at that moment, almost every time when I celebrate the mass, whenever I say those words of consecration, when I say those words of Jesus, it is also Christ saying, but it is also I saying to the people, to the church, that this is my body, this is my blood, which I am, giving myself to you completely.
Is there any particular person or an encounter that has, very deeply touched you or changed you as a person you are today?
Hmm, actually, there are many, uh, but if I have to say one particular situation wherein I was in one parish, and in one of the ministry, there was a mother and there were two children, adult children, obviously, and they were part of the ministry. And therefore, when they used to come to Sunday for to do the work of ministry, almost half the day is gone when you're working for the church, obviously. So generally, what I've seen in situations wherein one spouse works for the church, the other spouse sometimes gets upset. Sunday is the only day you're not at home. There's that who will do the work and everything. But this was one situation that I saw in the family, that the husband was not actively involved in the church, but he was supporting the church indirectly by supporting his wife and his children to do the ministry. So if Sunday his wife and his children are working for the church, he's doing all the work at home. Even though Sunday is a day of relaxing, Monday to Saturday you're working, Sunday is a day want taken off. But instead of choosing to take an off, he, does the housework, does the cooking, so that when his family comes back, they can spend good time with each other. And I think that is something unique that I saw, and I realized that it is not only people who are in the church who come to the parish who are very active, but the people who are at home who indirectly support their family members who are helping in the church activities.
Those priorities count well, because we have, in marriage, we give ourselves entirely to the other person, and that is where we need to put our focus on. And wherever else we can minister to,
True.
that is good.
And this is a unseen sacrifice. No, this person will never be in the forefront. Nobody will know that he's contributing to the church indirectly. But the point is, the sacrifice is noticed by Jesus, and I believe that that what he's doing for his family is something marvelous.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of sacrifice. It takes a lot of pacifying your ego, and it takes a lot of patience.
Yeah. And the family is the domestic church where everything begins. So I
True.
think he is cultivating something beautiful.
Yeah.
Was there any moment in your ministry where you felt that, this is exactly why I became a priest?
Actually, no, because I feel that every ministry that I've been in has taught me something unique, and more than I contributing to it, it has gifted me back to me. And I do not want to get into the idea, no, this is what I've been called to be a priest. Uh, I'm not judging anyone in this, but I feel that if I say tell myself, or if I tell myself that this is what I've been called for, then I will possibly close myself to new experiences. For example, when I was appointed here in Uttan, many of the people were like, "You're a Mangalorean, you're a Konkani speaker. What are you going to do in a Marathi-speaking parish?" But if I'd gone with that mentality, I would not be open to a new experience, because the moment I said a yes to Christ, and the moment I said yes to the bishop at the altar, it is a vow of obedience where I call myself to be a part of new experiences, and therefore I do not want to define my priesthood to any specific ministry or to any specific calling, because I feel if I personally put myself that I'm only called for this ministry, then I may close myself to new experiences.
Yeah. According to you, what are some challenges or struggles that, sometimes priests face that people do not know?
Sometimes people are not aware the amount of criticisms that we get each day, and I don't think people are at fault. I clearly remember someone telling that let's say there is something wrong in the parish. Uh, some roof has fallen down or some camera has fallen down. 10 people have seen that camera fallen down. So 10 people will go to that priest saying, the camera is fallen down, the camera is fallen down. So as a priest, I hear it once, twice, I can understand. But then 15, 20 people coming and telling me becomes irritating, and you're not, it becomes a distraction. But the point is, the person who is telling me is saying it for the first time. The 15th person or the 20th person who is telling me is saying it for the first time. And I feel that people do not have an understanding that, okay, how the amount of criticisms that we get, sometimes it kind of discourages people. Is like, it sometimes discourages priest. I feel what is the point of doing all this, because nobody is really happy. Someone comes, and then that feeling of failure comes and sets in, and I think that feeling is something which the priest struggle to manage.
How do you deal with loneliness or burnout?
Initially, I initially I did not know before joining the seminary. Then the one way of dealing loneliness was possibly watch a movie, call a friend, or play a game or something like that. But what I realize is that if I keep on ignoring my loneliness, it comes to bite me somewhere else. And then I tried going through my loneliness, but that is also a very painful experience, because the idea is you must also, as priest, we must also learn to sit alone in a room doing nothing. That attitude of solitude has to be developed. It's not about being alone in a room doing nothing. Means being alone with yourself, being comfortable yourself when you're alone. That is something I feel we have to develop, and that does not really easily happen because of all the distractions that we have. Um, and therefore possibly sometimes we become workaholic by doing so many activities. I don't want to be alone, let's do something, I'm not doing anything. That whole fear burden, no, I'm sitting and wasting my time. And then our loneliness, in order to avoid our loneliness, we become workaholic, then we get into burnout phase. And it has happened with me quite a few times. But I was reading this book by Tony DeMello, Father Anthony DeMello, SJ, Awareness. And one of the things that he said was, whenever there's a situation like this, you must observe it, not analyze it, understand, observe it and understand it from a third person's perspective. See what you're really seeking for. So when I began to do that, I began to realize in my loneliness, what am I really seeking for? Or in my workaholism, or what you say, if I'm doing too much, what am I really trying to gain? So the moment I began to see from a third party perspective, I realized what I was doing and what I was really trying to do. And slowly, slowly, I began to manage my loneliness. So it takes time. I feel it's a process, but slowly, slowly, I feel I can manage to handle my loneliness that way. I won't say I will never feel alone, but I'm more comfortable with myself right now.
What makes this Uttan parish unique from all the other parishes that you've seen?
Um the expression of the popular devotion, the expression of faith. The people over here do not hide the fact that they are Christians, and they show it through their popular devotion. They show it through their processions and their incensing and the touching of the statues, kissing them, venerating them. I believe that is something which I've never seen at this scale in any other parish. Also, what I believe is that this parish has a very strong sense of community, and it is very evident when you see the cemetery. After every mass, you see a great number of people going to the cemetery, praying for their loved ones, praying for their souls. And I feel that even if the person has passed away, the community has not forgotten that person, which is something I feel I we have lost in our city parishes, wherein cemeteries are kind of empty. Hardly anybody from a community goes to pray for them. So this sense of community is very strong.
What surprised you the most when you first came to this Uttan parish?
Actually, nothing much surprise, but I was appointed as a regent in the neighboring parish, St. Andrew's Church Chowk. So when I came to this Binder deanery, especially this Uttan belt, one of the first thing that surprised me was the cricket tournaments, the kind of affiliation and the affection they have for the sport is at a very great level. And I'm surprised that to see how it's not just a gully cricket, but a very high level tournament, highly organized, and you have sponsors, you have the trophy, you have umpires, commentators, and something that brings the whole community together. That kind of really surprised me that the game is such an important part of this people.
In relation to this, no, there is this Uttan Olympics. Even I was shocked to see that, like, Olympics, everybody is there. Oh, so many people.
Yes,
It's really, it feels like an Olympic.
it feels like an Olympic. So it's fantastic. It's really fantastic.
What has Uttan taught you personally as a priest?
I think availability. Because we have a 17,000 people over here, the amount of pastoral availability it demands, whether it is board blessing, house blessing, anointing of the sick, funerals, um, looking at the nature of the work the people have. See, in other parishes where people go for work, go for jobs, daily jobs, you can have an office timing, you can have a set timing. But the nature of this work, especially the fishing occupation, we cannot enforce office timings on them. So when people come at odd times, we accommodate them knowing the situation. And I feel that uh, that sense of availability initially was very difficult, because you feel once you've come to your room, you can zone out, you can read, or you can do something on your own, and suddenly there's a knock on your door or a bell rings, and then again you have to uh, check what has happened and all. Initially it was getting irritating, I would be very honest, but now I feel that it has I've become used to it, and I feel it's a privilege to uh, serve the people. I remember Saint Alphonsus Rodriguez, a Jesuit brother saint. His job was to be a porter. So porter means like a watchman only. Anybody comes to the gate, he has to carry the luggage. And whenever anyone would come to the door, he would say, "Yes, Lord, I am coming." He did not know who it was, but he would say, "Yes, Lord, I am coming," with great joy. I believe, of course, I've not reached that level of joy, but it's something that a perspective, a chance to serve, even though when you're tired, even though when you may not be at the best position to help a person, but the fact is, the idea of availability, it's like how Christ continuously gives. God gives, so, and if you're in image of God, we are also called to keep on giving. Boundaries are there, but not boundaries may not work every time. It always depends on the context.
Can you share one moment here in Uttan that touched you deeply?
Actually, there are many moments. One specific moment I could say is that one something unique moment I would say in Uttan would be the men pray over here. Something which I feel other parishes have lost. We see videos in European videos where men are saying the rosary. There's a group of men saying the rosaries. But in Uttan, there's a culture of men praying together, whether they go on the boat or whether they belong to the farming community or any community. Men do come to pray. During the Lenten season, there's something called as a Devat Mandal. These are men who go at night and they have the devotion of the way of the cross, but they sing in the Eastern language, they sing the Puran and other things. So I had an opportunity to go with them at night and pray. A unique experience to pray the way of the cross with them at midnight in the village itself. So there is something, it's kind of, I'm very happy that men pray and men are really serious about their spiritual life.
What's something about this church that people wouldn't notice?
Actually, people don't notice the church itself because whenever anyone talks about Uttan, they always talk about the Velankani shrine over here in Bhate Bandar, because the actual Uttan church is at the heart of the village, in between the houses, among the houses of the people. So many people miss out this old 400-year-old church. And if someone is coming from outside, especially when they come, I say, whenever you get a chance, come and see this old church, visit the old community, which is an old 300 or more than 400-year-old community, a faith that has survived and thrived for so long. So come and witness the history, I tell them.
The parish of Our Lady of the Sea has a very long history. 400 years, it's a very long time.
Yeah.
How do you see that history continuing even today?
I see it in terms of the resilience towards the culture. As you said, this parish has long history, and the parish suffered because of the Portuguese and Maratha war. Despite of the struggles of the war, people have overcome it, and people have kept the faith and have kept the culture. And I believe that if the people can combine their faith and culture all together, preserve the language that they are. I'm not saying do not modernize yourself, accept things from the other cultures also, but do not forget the roots, because your roots makes you something very unique. I think if people continue to preserve, accept where they have come from, then I think the history of the parish will continue.
Why should someone who has never come to this parish visit it at least once?
I would say it would be an experience of Christ. Um, in terms of the faith of the people, that is one thing. But when you read the Bible, you hear that Jesus went across the fields. Walked across he walked around along the shore. You know, so a person could live the gospel when he comes to this parish, because of course now the fields are less, but there are fields the person can see. The person can go and have a walk on the beach, not like a typical beach which we see in commercialized beaches, but a beach where you can smell fishes. And the first time I had the privilege to celebrate one mass on a beach, and it was like a Christ-like experience. Now I could really understand, when Christ would have gone in a busy fishing shore, where where Peter and John, James are there. There's a smell of fish. There's hustle and bustle of people around, and then he's preaching to them and is calling to be disciples. That whole experience of celebrating mass on the beach is it kind of made me go back to the gospels. And I believe that people can, in a way, at some level, live the gospel, experience the gospel, experience the life of Christ when they come here.
In today's world, especially with the youth, what do you think they are really searching for?
I believe they are searching for God. I believe that they are looking for a concrete faith, not something very superficial. They're asking deeper questions, and they're asking sensible questions. And unfortunately, our elders, because they have not been taught great catechesis, have unable to answer. So I believe that our youth are people who are not going to take the faith like a tablet. They are going to question it, they're going to challenge it, and I believe it's a beautiful thing, because only then our faith becomes really deeper. So it's not that our youth are gone away from the church. What I believe is that the youth may not be able to find meaning, or may not be able to, are possibly not inspired by a way of life. And therefore, if our life does not inspire them, then automatically they are making a decision to kind of stay away from it. But in my experience, the moment we make attempts to listen to their questions, make attempts to, you know, express and tell what we do and why we do it, I think they are more open to experience. They are more open to the experiences rather than just telling them and ordering them to do this and do that.
How can young people discover their vocation, whether it is being single, getting married, joining the priesthood, or the religious life?
I would say to follow the desire. Okay, and I would. Why am I saying it to follow the desire? It is simply because any vocation that you choose should be your choice also. Uh, you must not say, I don't deserve. One people sometimes say, I don't deserve to be a priest, or I don't deserve to be a religious person because I'm not a very holy person, or I'm a sinner. But the point is, that does not mean, if you feel that you don't deserve priesthood, then I will say you don't deserve marriage also, because holiness is a criteria by default in any vocation that you choose. So don't degrade one vocation because you feel you don't deserve the other vocation. So if you have a slight inclination towards, let's say, priesthood, test it. Take a help of a spiritual director, and tell the priest or whoever is a, think I have a desire to be a priest. I think I have a desire to be a religious. Can you help me out? Or even if you have a desire to get married also, test that too. Because, okay, I want to get married. I want to get possibly married to this person. Can you help me with this direction? What am I supposed to do to be a good person, to be a good husband, a good wife? Any vocation should be tested, not not to get 100% clarity. You will never get 100% clarity, but to be able to understand where God is leading you, and then to take a decision of faith. If you feel that you're waiting for God to appear in front of you and come and go, come and become priest. Don't pray for that kind of clarity. Why? Because clarity, for me personally, is very dangerous. One needs to have certain amount of doubt in any vocation, because whenever there's doubt, there's an opportunity of faith. But when there is clarity, then there's no faith. And this is where we see it all around the world. When people feel that they're 100% sure what they want to do, take for example, a truly believes that he is doing an act of God. The person has 100% clarity, and look what that clarity makes him do it, makes him or her do it. So a certain amount of doubt in any vocation, I feel, is healthy, because it allows you to have faith in God. And so whatever your desire is, notice what your desire is, take help of spiritual director, and make it your own decision. Why? Because this is something which I really had to go through. When I said in the beginning that why did God call me, I was always blaming God in the initial years of my seminary, that I am suffering because of you, because you called me into this vocation. Till one day God gave me an option, okay, go and get married. And it was a very clear option he gave me. He threw me a curveball. Okay. So what God was really trying to do is stop blaming me. Even though I've called you, it is also your choice. Make the vocation your own. So if you're waiting for 100% clarity from God, if anything goes wrong, or if there is, I won't say anything, something always goes wrong. There's always going to be suffering and difficulty. The moment there is suffering and a difficulty, we will automatically blame God, or we automatically blame any person. So whichever vocation you choose, it has to be your own decision, a decision which you take freely and out of your with full heart and with joy. All right. So this is what I feel.
See, many people who will be watching our videos are also part of a family.
Hmm.
And perhaps, sometimes they ask me, what advice can you give us
Hmm.
by which we can grow together in faith of Jesus?
I feel to grow in faith, keep the faith simple. Sometimes we try to do a lot of extraordinary stuff, but telling my family experience, we were Sunday Catholics. I would, when I was a Sunday school teacher, I would go for a Sunday mass, but I used to go for Saturday evening mass, which is very few people would attend. So we were not an extraordinary spiritual family. We would do our daily prayers, sometimes say the rosary, but our faith was simple. Uh, don't try to overcomplicate. Don't try to impress God by taking up practices which are going to be a burden. Already life is difficult. Already there is stress in the situation. So don't make your spiritual life more difficult by adding more stress and expectations to it. Keep your faith simple. If you want to know Jesus, if you want to know God, start reading the Gospels first. Start with the Gospel of Luke. Sometimes people are like, I want, let's say I've gone for a retreat, I have a great experience of God, now I will read the Bible daily. And they will open up the book of Genesis and they'll start reading, and then the Bible reading phases out, because it is the book of Genesis. The Old Testament has a very different context, has a very different purpose what they have written. And if someone does not have a background in scripture, will find it difficult. So if you felt a deep experience of Christ, then start with the person of Jesus itself. Try to know who Jesus is. Read the gospel, and then afterwards, your faith will automatically grow in a very simple way.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, just out of the blue.
Yeah.
Did you ever think that I would call you for a podcast?
No. And I didn't want to come to a podcast because, as you said, as I told before, I'm a very introverted person, and these things make me very uncomfortable. I am very uncomfortable right now. But as I said, that this is also a new experience for me, and I want to be open to new experiences as to where it may lead. And therefore, when you asked me, I said, okay, let's give it a try. I was not sure I'm still nervous. I'm still really uncomfortable, but I said, "Look, let me give it a push."
Thanks for coming though. It was fun.
Yeah.
Let's go back in time.
Yeah.
During seminary years, formation years, who do you think was more disciplined? Was it you or me?
You're asking me.
Yeah.
What? You give me the answer. You
You tell me.
No,
Literally.
I would say you were more disciplined looking at my life. And if I say I'm the most disciplined one, our seminarians batchmates will reply on the comment section. They say, Noel, please go to confession.
Okay, that means I've got 100. I asked the same question to Kenneth. Yeah, he also said me, but I told him it's you, not me. But he said no, it's you. You had a to-do list and all. I said I would not follow. I would write, but I would not follow. One funny or unforgettable seminary experience or moment.
There are many, but I don't want to expose anyone. I'll expose myself. One funny and a memorable experience is stealing mangoes from the seminary. Get up at 1 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, steal them, and go back to sleep. Then get up for morning prayer.
That was in the night, huh?
Obviously, you cannot do it during the day.
I can't remember seeing mangoes in the seminary. I know jackfruits are there.
Yeah, they would come on the trees. So now don't ask how I stole them.
No. Nice. I think we have mango trees. So I never felt the need to steal mangoes.
Yeah, you're distributing free mango.
Yeah. Once, yes. One thing you cannot live without besides Jesus.
My geyser, I would say. I want a hot water bath. Yeah, it's like, of course, that is something I will have to overcome. But right now, for me, that is one necessity to have a hot water bath.
It gets cold in the nights here, extremely cold.
Yeah, it's not about cold also. Even if it is very hot also, I would want a hot water bath. It's something which is a part of me. But I feel that, I may have to a little bit give it up a bit.
What would you say to someone who feels called to the priesthood but is afraid?
It's okay to be afraid. We are afraid because we are not sure. We are afraid because we are unable to control the outcome. We are afraid that we become helpless. A very simple example. I was doing my regency here in Uttan in a parish called St. Andrew's Church Chowk. It was COVID time, so I could not travel home for once in a month or something. I could not do that because there were travel restrictions. And there was some difficulty at my house, and I was not there for my parents to help them out. And, at that experience, I realized that, I will not always be there, but God will always be there with them. And so we have a lot of fears, but I would say come with your fears. And the fear comes from a sense of control. But this vocation, especially this vocation of priesthood, is a calling which allows you, which makes you give up control of your own life. And by giving up control, one becomes open to faith. It becomes an act of faith. That's an act of surrender. So don't accept your fears, but come forward, I would say.
Maybe in a word or in a sentence, what does being a priest mean to you today?
I would say just a facilitator of the grace. Nothing else. I'm just an instrument. And there have been times, God has kind of surprised me, how He has used me. And as therefore maybe Francis of Assisi says, make me a channel of your peace, to be a channel of God in every situation. As Paul would say, to be all things for all people.
In the end, it is all about God's grace and our reception of that. How that is what makes the world beautiful.
Yes, your priesthood is not about you at all. So I'm not the main character. So the faster we accept it, it is much better.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Father Noel, for coming here on this podcast video. Thank you so much for your precious time. I know Uttan is a very busy parish, but still, Father Noel, you gave us your precious time, and your valuable insights will surely enrich everybody who is watching this video. So once again, I would like to be very honest that you came, you shared your experience. It was really wonderful, beautiful, heart touching. There were so many new things that even I was very happy to hear.
Yeah.
So perhaps we can have another video sometime soon. I would also like to thank Sarah for coming here and helping us with all of the equipments. Also thank, Chris, Nikin, and Jonas for giving us their phones and cameras and tripods and a lot of other things without which, this would not be possible. So thank you guys and really appreciate your help. Sarah, would you like to join us here for a photograph?
So thank you, Father Ashton, for coming. Thank you for this opportunity. And God bless you and your ministry and this endeavor that you have. All the
Thanks,
best.
Nash. Thanks, Nash.
Sure.
Thanks.
Sure.
Can I take a picture? Even you can join.